Hello and welcome to another Blues Focus match preview. I'm your host Sam Sheppy, and next up for Birmingham City is St Andrews, Bolton Wanderers, Tuesday night under the lights. And yeah, really looking forward to it off the back of a good 3-1 win against Lincoln City. Feel free to check out the video that me and Tommy done reacting to that game, and also sort of the match report afterwards as well, where we analysed everything that happened. A positive 3-1 win, obviously another early goal conceded, but then we fired back with 3 goals of our own, and Keshi Anderson getting 2 goals, as well as a Villenson strike, which came off the back of an excellent passing move. And all 3 of the goals were excellently worked, weren't they? And next up for us is Bolton Wanderers, who themselves are going to put up a tough test. You know, they've won 4 of their last 5 league games, looking pretty good after a shaky start. Ian Evatt is their manager, someone that knows the club really well. He's actually a minority shareholder as well as the manager, been there for 4 years now and had some success with them, you know, taking them up from League Two to League One and also winning the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. So he's had a successful tenure there. And Bolton are someone that are looking to bounce back from their disappointment of last season. Last season, they're one of the favourites to go up, but lost in the playoff final to Oxford United. A bit of a curveball, really, because a lot of people were expecting Bolton to win that game, but Oxford went on to win the game. And they're doing pretty well, aren't they, in the Championship now? But Bolton, once again, this season up there as contenders for promotion. Obviously, we were the favourites to win the title, but I think Bolton were around 2nd or 3rd in the bookies' odds. So, yeah, someone that is expected to do pretty well. And they've got a pretty decent side. They like to play a bit of football, playing out from the back to relative success. It was capitalised on by Huddersfield Town, actually, earlier this season in a 4-0 defeat. And one of the goals that Bolton conceded in that game was pretty comical, with them passing it around the back and Huddersfield just capitalising them for it. And you're kind of rubbing your hands together looking at this as a Birmingham fan, because of our high press and the way that we like to, you know, really press teams into panicking and dominating the ball as well. Because albeit Bolton like to play nice football, they don't exactly dominate possession. Because against Crawley, I mean, Crawley had 68% possession against Bolton, albeit Bolton won the game 2-0. So it's going to be a contrast of styles in this game, and I'm really looking forward to it as well. And in terms of the Bolton history against Birmingham, 7 of the last 8 games we played against them have been 1-0, either to Bolton or to Birmingham. And the last 2 games we played against them, we've actually lost 1-0. And the last win we got against them, a 1-0 win back in 2018. It was February then. Gary Monk as the manager. Birmingham in a bit of a relegation scrap. Bolton were one of the teams that were down there with us, and we took 4,800 fans to their ground. And Lukas Jukovic scored a goal in that game to win it. And I just remember that. Keep right on. If you haven't seen it on YouTube or weren't there to experience it, please go and watch it, because it's one of the better renditions of Keep Right On I've ever seen. And a sign of unity that now we see more so often with Birmingham because of the new ownership and all the positivity around the club. So I'm really looking forward to this game. Bolton, one of them teams, once upon a time, like us, a main staple in the Premier League, but have dropped off because of mismanagement from an ownership level. And yeah, Bolton are a proper team, aren't they? And I'm really looking forward to this contest. And ahead of the game, we caught up with Ed from Lion of Vienna to speak about what he thinks of Bolton's season so far, what he makes of Birmingham City, and predictions for the game as well.
We're 10 games into the season, and Wanderers didn't really get off to the best of starts for where, as a fan base, we expect to be, and where I think the club really want to be come the end of the season. We did get off to a good start, beating Leyton Orient away and then drawing 0-0 against Wrexham at home. But then to follow that with 3 consecutive defeats without scoring against Charlton, Exeter and Huddersfield was a real hard pill to swallow, especially the Huddersfield game. Losing 4-0 in the manner that we did, it was such a capitulation. Such a toxic atmosphere after that game as well. I think myself, most of the fans, the press, and even Ian Evatt himself kind of had this feeling that maybe his time at the club would come to an end. And it's something that most fans, or some fans I should say, kind of felt should have come to an end after the playoff final against Oxford. That Oxford game, thinking back about it at Wembley, we just didn't turn up. Some fans felt maybe he should have left over the summer, but he didn't. He was backed with investment over the summer as well. It's the first time in a decade that we've actually spent 7 figures on a player in John McAtee. So there was a real expectation on Ian Evatt to actually deliver the promotion that we've been, kind of flirting with the last couple of years. So after, you see a game like Huddersfield where you lose in such a manner, even though it was only a few games into the season, everyone kind of thought maybe it's time to come to an end. But yeah, since then, we've gone on a run of 6 unbeaten games in the league, winning 5 of those, and we're kind of up at the right end of the table where we want to be, knocking on the automatic places and flirting with the promotion places again. So it's where we'd like to be, but the performances need to improve as well. Saturday against Burton Albion, we did scrape a win, but they're bottom of the league for a reason at the moment, and we kind of put that performance in against you guys at St Andrews. I don't think we come away with anything. And obviously it's going to be a real hard test. You've only lost once so far in the league this season. Plenty's been said about the amount of investment that you've had in this playing squad as well. And it's great that it's so many players, and yet they've gelled so quickly, and the new manager's getting a tune out of them as well. And they're playing so great, and you deserve to be at the top of the table at the moment, and rightly so. But it's going to be a real tricky test, and I hope that we can bring something and bring the kind of performance that we know we're capable of. Like the Northampton game a couple of games ago, we beat Northampton 4-2 away, and that was the level that we want to see as a team going to an away match, putting in a dominating performance, scoring goals. Not that I think we'd be able to score 4 at St Andrews, but just to see that level of commitment and performance would be a good thing to see. I'd watch out for a couple of players in our team, the likes of Dion Charles, who's been banging in the goals for us for a couple of years, and as a Northern Ireland international. You've got Aaron Collins, John McAtee. In the middle of the park, you've got Josh Sheehan, who was our player of the season. Fantastic player who had a man of the match performance in the last international break for Wales as well. So there's plenty of players to look out for. Hopefully, if they can play the way that we know they can, we can get something out of the game. But for me, it's going to be a real hard test against the team who do look well equipped and ready to go straight back up to the Championship, and I'd like to be the team that follows them as well. If I was to predict a score, I'd probably go for a 1-1 if I'm feeling optimistic, and I'll say it'll be Dion Charles from a penalty. Best of luck for the rest of the season, guys, apart from tomorrow.
So that was Ed from Lion of Vienna, and I'm going to go into the starting 11 now, because it's a bit of a one for debate, isn't it? Because now it seems to be a thing with Birmingham that there are a couple of players that are getting injured. Obviously, we've had the stuff with Jay Stansfield and also Scott Wright as well. And as of the time of me recording this video, I haven't actually heard Chris Davis's press conference because it isn't out yet. So I'm awaiting news as to what's going to happen with them two guys and whether they're fit enough to feature. But a player that returned from an injury was Ethan Laird. He came off the bench, didn't he, against Lincoln. It was nice to see him back. And then obviously Dion Sanderson playing against Shrewsbury. So those are two players that were sidelined that are kind of trying to get their way back into the action. And we've got 3 games coming up in 7 days, because we've got this game against Bolton on Tuesday, and then we've got Mansfield Town on Saturday, and then Fulham under-21s the week after. So there's going to be a lot of games in this time. And the good thing about us now is because of the depth of our squad, we can rotate quite a lot, can't we? And I anticipate that Chris Davis is going to go over an unchanged 11. That's just because of the track record that he's had in the fact that he doesn't really like to change the starting 11 too much, because he doesn't like to disrupt momentum, I think, with the side, with them still kind of gelling together. And it did kind of cost us against Charlton, didn't it? Because we had an unchanged 11 from that game, from the 1-0 win against Huddersfield. And in that game, the players just didn't look quite with it. So I don't know if that may be in the back of his mind as to making a couple alterations to the team. I said in my Lincoln report that Iwata maybe looked a little bit leggy, so Mark Leonard could come in. And also now I think there's a bit of a debate arising between whether Hansen's best out wide or Yokoyama, because Yokoyama made such a good impact from the bench, didn't he? Someone that just maybe took a bit of time to settle in, being the fact that he's, 20, 21 years old, coming to a new continent, not speaking the language. So he probably would have had to have taken a bit more time to get used to his surroundings before actually starting games, because he hasn't really featured on the bench at all much. So Chris Davis has touched on that in his interviews that he's done. It's going to be interesting to see which way that one goes. And the whole thing about May versus Stansfield, Alfie May got 2 assists, didn't he? And nearly scored goal of the season with that wonder strike outside the box that hit the post. So I reckon Alfie May will keep his spot up front if Jay Stansfield isn't fit. And it may even be a thing that Stansfield's just coming back and we can afford to bench him because of the depth of quality that we've got. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm really looking forward to this Bolton game. I'm going to predict a 2-0 win for Birmingham. I think it's really important for us to focus on these clean sheets and really stifle Bolton, because they're a team that have scored a lot of goals and also conceded a lot of goals this season. So it's that thing of we have the firepower to score against any team in the league. It's just about keeping the basics, errors to a minimum, and really, shutting up shop. And Ryan Allsop, someone that performed really well, didn't he, against Lincoln with his penalty save and also his distribution as well. So I'm hoping he has another good game as well. So yeah, feel free to leave your comments in the comment section about what you think is going to happen in the game. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, keep right on.